Excited. I want to talk though, Herbie, about this book, Out of the Pocket, Football, Fatherhood, and College Game Day Saturdays. And I'm really interested in, for you, I've known you for a long time. And I think America feels like they know you. They're in their living room every Saturday morning. Game day is part of the culture, the zeitgeist in this country. But when you share stories about who you are and what's made you who you are, tell me about that process. How hard is it to decide, all right, here's what I'm willing to share with you, which is who I am?
Scary. Very, very hard for me. I'm an introvert by nature. I'm a quiet guy, unless I'm, with my buddies, someone like you, I kind of open up, but just in general, and I don't talk about my feelings. And so this book is about football. It's about broadcasting and how I kind of got into that world. But Gene came up with some interesting ideas to kind of open up and see if I was willing to be vulnerable and just talk about some of the things I went through. I had a life where my dad was my hero. He played at Ohio State. He was a captain. He coached with Woody Hayes. And he would take me to the stadium, and I would sit on Woody Hayes' lap and put on Archie Griffin's helmet, and it was incredible. It was mythical for me at that age. It's 5, 6, 7 years old. And then my world kind of turned upside down. My parents divorced, and then I went to 8 schools in 9 years. Both my parents remarried, both got divorced again, and I just was bouncing around. And for a really, really painfully shy kid, that wasn't a great experience for me. So my escape, I didn't have resentment or anger. Some people go through that with divorce. I had more just an emptiness. I wanted more of my dad because I loved him so much and he was a good guy. He just wasn't around as much as I wanted. And so my outlet was sports. I just completely immersed myself into sports, whether it was watching or participating. And that's who really I've been my whole life. I mean, I wish I had more hobbies, but that's really all I got for you is sports and every aspect of it. And that's why I love it so much.
I laugh, Herbie, just because I can't tell you how often I've thought the same. I wish I were more interesting. We're so lucky that every Saturday you hit the reset button and we get to immerse ourselves in what these young men and women in sports do that blow our minds. But I just go back to just sharing that, like going through this. I mean, how cathartic is it to really pour out who you are? And maybe some of it doesn't get shared because it doesn't all belong to us, but just the process of that. Yeah. I don't know, how much does it help?
I think it did. It was somewhat therapeutic. I compartmentalized some things, especially when I was younger, and to trust Gene to talk about these things and trust that he would use it appropriately in the book. Where again, I don't share things sometimes with my own family, and here I am writing a book and sharing things with everybody. And it was that part was really hard for me. It was almost like Goodwill Hunting with Matt Damon and Robin Williams. And the first couple times they met, they just kind of sat there looking at each other.
Sure.
A little bit like that. And eventually I kind of caught on to it and I started to open up. It was emotional. It was tough because it's not something you do. And then when you finish it, you wonder, man, why did we do this? What do we hope to accomplish? And for me, it's not about selling books. It's just about, I hope it resonates. We all go through trials and tribulations, in life, and some are more extreme than others. And I just think when you get through them, it really helps you grow and develop as a person. And sometimes we try to avoid heartache and we try to avoid adversity in our lives. And I think sometimes going through that really helps develop us and turn us into the person that we ultimately become. And so whether it was my personal life or sports, going through that adversity really helped me create my core values that I try my best to live by every single day.
I'm not trying to play Robin Williams to your Matt Damon here and put you on the couch and share your deepest, innermost feelings. But I really am interested in this, Herb, because I'm older than you, but I got started at being a dad later. And I see how present you are in the lives of your boys, and I admire it. I see how open you are about how much you love them. They know that their dad's got their back. How much do you think of what you went through is you making sure that's not something they have to deal with?
Man, I'm trying my best. This is not a how-to book. This is just me saying, hey, here's my failures, here's my mistakes. My dad, as much as I loved him and as good of a person as he was, the biggest thing that probably scarred me the most is he didn't listen real well. And there's nothing more painful, I think, to a kid who looks up to his dad than when you share something and he just kind of, yeah, oh, is that right? Is that right? But he doesn't hear it. And I cannot tell you, the one person I'd ever want to come back from a game day trip and get on the phone and tell him about something, and he would turn it to something that, that reminds me, was, when Woody, it would just, and I'd just be standing there, and it would happen again and again and again and again. And finally, I just would start shutting down. I just would not communicate. I wouldn't tell him anything. And that's not an answer. It's not what I wanted to do. So my thing is, with my kids, I could be in the middle of anything. Like you and I talking right now on my phone. If my ninth grader comes in here right now, with all due respect, I'm going to be like, what? I have just trained my brain to listen, be there, hear them. No matter what I'm doing, I'm there. I want to be present. As you said, I want to be there for them. And I never want them to feel like dad's on his phone or dad's not listening or I just want them to feel like I care about their lives, I know how painful that was for me to experience. So I think we learn from our parents the good that they do. And there was a lot of good for me, but some of the shortcomings. And, my kids will probably learn from me. And not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they know they're loved. I tell them every single day, and they know that I'm there because I'm in the front row. I don't need to be told, hey, they got a test on Tuesday, or don't forget there's a game on Thursday. Like I know their calendar because I'm present, and I just thought that's the biggest thing I learned because of the pain that I went through myself as a kid.
I know how much you respect and admire a guy named Inky Johnson, who I had on my podcast last week, who played football at Tennessee. And we talked about what's more important, what you acquire or who you become. And who you become, Kirk, as a friend, man, I admire you and I appreciate you. And I hope folks will enjoy the book Out of the Pocket. Obviously, they'll enjoy watching you do your thing as they have for all these weekends throughout the years of covering college football. It's great to visit with you, brother, and I look forward to paths crossing soon, all right?
Scotty, you are the man. I really appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we can talk more often this year, talk some college football. I love doing it with you.
My man. Be good. Go take care of your ninth grader.